So it appears to be that time of day again. Time for another build, another video. Well, let's go ahead and get into it then. So by now, I'm sure you've already noticed that for every build I have a character for them. It's just something I like to do with games that have builds and character creators, you know? I like to have characters with like specializations and stuff like that, and this game having multiple weapon types, it's like, oh, okay. I guess I can make a character for every weapon type and magic type. Well, casting type? Yeah, that'd probably be a better word for it. So yeah, that's just some background for why the characters always change in these videos. So, you've probably guessed by now, but the build for today is going to be bayonets. Yes, bayonets. But before I begin, I want to make this clear. These videos are more oriented towards people who already have the capability to get these items and have reached endgame to just make these builds for fun. So yeah, that's more who it's aimed towards, for those endgame players that just want to build to try out. So now, let us get started. So, beginning with it, into weapons. Brodea Fortification plus 10. Why? Well, it has good mobility, well, good weight is a better word for it. And it gets good scaling with most bayonet blood codes, and if I recall, the Brodea has the longest range of all the bayonets. However, its projectile speed is pretty slow, so it's more of a slow Dea than it is a Brodea, but it's still a good choice to have, although there are other alternatives. It's whatever you like picking. Libertador Fortification plus 10 because it has, I recall, the best per shot damage for bayonets, so that's nice to have. And the Dawnclaw Alleviation. Oh, why not any lighter veils like, let's say, the Ivory Grace or something? Well, given with the blood code and the bayonets, you can have a Dawnclaw, well, Nightclaw are the variants, and you can make it lighter with the Alleviation fortification, or well, the infusion? Yeah, infusion. So that you can have not only a lightweight blood veil, but you could also have some decent defense behind you. You know, if you look at the Ivory Grace, its defense is pretty low. So having a Dawnclaw is fairly nice because you have all-around solid defense, even for a bayonet build. So those are these here. Next, getting into the passives here. Improved regeneration because normal regeneration sucks. Swift destruction because with quick mobility you get a 20% damage increase to both your melee damage and your bayonet shot damage. Free damage just for being fast. Dexterity and willpower up. Bayonet mastery. You know, it's kind of ideal to have a bayonet mastery in a bayonet build, you know, it's kind of just like bread and butter. As for the blood code, it's going to be Queen. Why? Because the mind and willpower. Bayonets, most of the time, especially the Libertador, skill off mind and willpower, for example. So having a blood code that has a lot of mind and willpower is going to increase your per shot damage. So this is more of a pure shooting setup, or majority shooting. At least that's what the idea was. However, some people may not be too keen with the idea of just pure shooting, so there are other alternatives for you. If you don't have DLC, you can use Artemis. It has a good mind and willpower as well as high dexterity, so you can have good per shot damage, but also have decent melee damage on top of it with high scaling bayonets. If you have DLC, you can just use Orion with incredibly high willpower. Your mind isn't really there, so looking for some pure willpower bayonets is kind of ideal, like the Black Bayonet. So super high willpower and super high dexterity, giving you good per shot damage if you have a high scaling bayonet, and really good melee damage with the S scaling and dexterity. But this is a more of a shooting setup, so I'm going to go with Queen. Moving on to the bottom gifts. Restorative Offering for restorative offering purposes. Overdrive, which, sure, it increases your melee damage by 25%, but did you know it also increases your bayonet shot damage? I'm not sure if you knew, but now you do. But, again, this is free damage as long as you don't take damage, so it's more of a take your fights from range if you can. For overdrive, that's kind of ideal, so 25% increase to your melee and your bayonet shots. So it's pretty nice to have. Merciless Reaper. Now, Merciless Reaper is going to negate 50% of your target's defense for one hit. Now, why is that selected? Well, we also have Ranged Impact. So if we pair together Ranged Impact, Overdrive, and Merciless Reaper, you're stacking on some extra bayonet shot damage from Ranged Impact, you're stacking on some extra damage from Overdrive, and then you're negating a bunch of their defense with Merciless Reaper. So it's all about having those powerful shots that can really dish out some damage, which also goes along the lines with the gifts on top that we're going to get into. Here we are with Fusillade Rondo, a bayonet gift combo thingy. I just call them gift combos, that's what I'm going to call them, or just combos. Yeah, something like that. Chaotic Ash. Why Chaotic Ash? Because it cost 1 Ichor to get back, if I recall, 8 Ichor. I could be wrong, let's find out. Let's check really quick. Let me just spam abilities here. Oh, okay. 9. Something like that, yeah. So it's just free Ichor for 1 Ichor, although it does have a pretty long cooldown, so use it wisely. So going back out. Next one here, Bloodsucking Blades. Why? For drain rating. Bayonets need Ichor to shoot. You don't have Ichor, you can't shoot. Having a way to get more Ichor back with melee attacks is pretty optimal, along with your Chaotic Ash to keep your Ichor stock up and running. Radiant Barrel, because Radiant Barrel. Radiant Barrel is pretty ridiculous. Not only does it deal large amounts of damage, but it also can pierce through enemies, meaning you can hit multiple targets with a single use of Radiant Barrel. And by ridiculous damage, I mean something along the lines of this. Let's just go ahead and get ourselves the Overdrive, Merciless Reaper, Ranged Impact, give it a shot. Now that damage you see, if I recall, is not negating the damage resistance of this little punching bag here. Because if I recall, it doesn't have defense. So if you were fighting an actual enemy or boss, then you would actually have the defense reduction because of Merciless Reaper. Radiant Barrel is powerful. It's fantastic. However, long recharge, large cost of Ichor. But still, if you can just save up Ichor and charge up that one massive power shot to give you quite the advantage in a boss fight, that's also a good idea too. Just to go ahead and clarify that little combo here, use your Overdrive, your Merciless Reaper, and your Ranged Impact. That's going to be 15 Ichor. Then Radiant Barrel, which is going to be 10. So you are going to need at least 25 Ichor to pull off this combo, just to have that one massive power shot. That's going to have a long cooldown, a large cost of Ichor, but if you can keep building it up and using it, you're going to chip off large amounts of health of bosses and higher difficulties, or just completely destroy things in base difficulty. Your call. Either way. You can change the build as you see fit, really, but this is just how I run it, so yeah. This is the Sui way of doing things, although there are many other ways of doing things, because that's the fun of Code Vein. You're free to do things your own way. So hopefully this build gave you an idea for what to use in a bayonet. So that's going to go ahead and wrap up this build video. As for what I'm going to do for future Code Vein videos, I don't really know. I've already done a build revolving around each weapon type or casting type. I'm sure I'll find something to upload involving Code Vein. I do appreciate you coming by to stop and watch the video. It is much, much appreciated. It would be even cooler if you liked and subscribed, but of course, that's your choice. I'm Sui, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.